Hello, everyone. Hello, my beautiful friends. How are you today? Welcome to the Nail Tip Show. This is our third class of the acrylic training. I wonder if you guys been practicing. How'd you guys doing? Did you find those tips been helpful? Let me know if you have any more questions. I want to start with the class with just kind of going back a little bit. If any of you guys still have questions, please don't be shy. Just let me know because I have a couple of you texted me and asked me a few questions, but I want to kind of address them here so then everybody can hear, all the answer that I'm going to give it to you guys. That's why I don't repeat the same answer, to each of you. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes. I want to say hi and shout out. Are you guys ready? I'm excited for this class because I feel like this class is really you're going to see why your structure is not structurally sound, it's not aesthetic pleasing. You're going to get more in-depth what should you do and how you can improve, the little steps here and there to make your nails more perfect. So I'm going to give you guys, like I said, a couple minutes to, ask me any more questions with two previous class that we did, even with, other marbling and acrylic class that we did before. If you guys have any more questions, please let me know. Yeah? Okay. Let me see. What? Do you have any questions, Tiff? Do we have any more questions up there? Okay. So, hold up. Wait, it takes majority weight instead of... Okay, so, it's how I find my set on. Okay, what's the advantage of each type of brush, crimped or round? There's no advantage or disadvantage. I said with that class, it's more like a preference. Some people like it rounded, so because most brush that you buy, they're not crimped unless you requested it, or some company, they crimped for you, then it's fine. But like I said, I started out with a rounded brush, and I had no problem with it. It's just later when I found that I do a lot of long nails with crimped, I feel like it's slightly easier, and that's why I recommend the beginners to have a crimped brush, just so then, because you already have a flat side on one side, it's easier for you to use that side that is flat, so then you can, blend your product slightly easier. But it just matter of preference. There's no like, oh, one brush better than the other. Once you learn how to handle the brush that you have, everything else pretty much the same, Yeah. Uh, Let me see. Yeah, getting better, struggling. Okay, wait, hold on, give me a second. Struggling with layering properly. What's the best way to practice acrylic smoothly? We're gonna go through that a little bit today because the reason you guys don't know how to lay down product, because you don't know where to distribute the product, like where it's thin, where it's supposed to be thick. So today we really go in depth on that, so you get to see how the nail structure should be like. Okay, is it possible? Possible to remove acrylic along removing glue on the tip and tie new set with new tips. Let's just stick with, let me see, how do you recommend remove a glue tip from previous set? It just matter removing the whole set. That's kind of off topic a little bit, but then, okay, for you to remove the old acrylic, you just have to remove the whole thing. And unless, you just want, if the set is still, the foundation is good, and you just want to, build on top of it, then you don't have to take everything down. But when the structure is not, it's not straight out from the lateral side and it's, go up and down, I will show you a little bit more. So I feel like a lot of you guys have struggling with that. So let me see, let me go with one more. I need more clarity regarding, this is from DGF 627, how to determine the monomer's polymerizing speed. For example, is there a universal monomer in that is industry standard, Delisa. Hi, Delisa. How are you? Thank you for your donation too. That's a good question. Okay, so if you stick with EMA, which is like I said before, most professional brand are only offering EMA, and liquid, they do, some companies offer speed setting and slower setting. So if you are beginners, I just get traditional, which is kind of like slower setting. And sometimes if they have speed liquid, like speed dry, then once you get, comfortable with it, you can more like professional, because professional, they want to work quicker. Because they all have the control of the liquid and the powder, so they want to work faster. So a lot of company offer speed dry set, monomer. But for beginners, I would just stick with traditional or maybe a slow setting, because you don't know how to maneuver to control that yet, and it dries too quick, then you can't control it. So yeah. All right. Let me see. I will take one more because I know you guys have a lot of questions. How do you know if the brush is no longer good? If practicing the hair was coming out, but if a new brush? Well, that's with a good brush and a new brush, the hair shouldn't be shedding. Maybe once in a while, if you accidentally, pull it tight, then my hair or two comes off. But in normal use, a good brush, the hair should not come off that easily. If it did, then that means that's not a well-made brush. And so that's what happened. But in general, I would say in general, a good quality brush, it should not shed when it's brand new. Okay, so thank you, everyone. Thank you for your questions. Let me get on to the class today, and then I'm gonna give you guys maybe 5-10 minutes. It depends on how much time we have at the end. But I'm gonna let you guys keep writing down the questions you have, even on the previous class, because this will be the last class I'm gonna offer in today. So I wanna make sure you guys understand everything. So if you have any more questions, just write it down. At the end of class, I'll make sure I have enough time for you guys we can go over it. So let me get ready, okay? All right.
Hello everyone, my name is Tiffany and I help here at the Nail Tip Show. We want to thank you guys so much for joining us for whether it's today's your first day or you've joined us since day one. These past 3 days have been jam-packed with so much information. So I hope you guys have been enjoying the class and just spending time here with us as you learn, and we give all these tips and tricks for you guys. As you know, the Nail Tip Show, our goal and purpose is to help you guys find valuable knowledge and information so that you guys can grow your skills as nail artists and nail professionals. When we started the Nail Tip Show a couple of years ago, we thought it was really, really important to have this knowledge out because a lot of people were struggling to, find information. The only way that you could do that was to go to a physical class, and not anyone can travel, and we felt like it wasn't accessible. And so now we've been growing our channel, and we hope that you guys really, really enjoy all the content that we put out for you guys. We want to thank you for your support, for all those who have donated to us previously in the past couple of days. If you would like to continue supporting us, and if you want to further that support, you are welcome to provide donations to us. The link is in the description. Your donations go directly to helping us keep up with just the production aspect of this of all of our content, and help support the team behind the cameras. Again, every time you guys watch these videos, you can notice that the view and the angles of everything you see is very clear and clean cut, and that's because of the team behind the cameras that you guys don't necessarily see, that is making sure that you guys can get all the information you can get while watching it visually online. So thank you again to those who have supported before, and we thank you in advance to those who are going to support. And if you feel like you want to support us, we have a link in the description, and you can find us on Cash App as well to help donate. I understand that these are really hard times. Not everyone has the means to do so. That is absolutely okay. We are just simply inviting you if you are willing and able. However, if you can't support us financially and just donate to us, that's completely okay. Just feel free to take a picture of just your station or take a screenshot of the video that you're watching right now, or maybe just when you see Anne teaching you, just take a screenshot and post it on your platform. That would so help us just to kind of expand to everyone what we're doing here, and we'd love to share this information to you guys. So again, if you can't if you can't support, that is absolutely okay. This class is still free, and you guys are still welcome to join us at any time. The link is in the description, and we thank you in advance again for just your support and just everyone watching. We really appreciate your guys' efforts in, trying to engage with us and ask questions. It really makes us really happy knowing that we're helping you guys learn, and that you guys are enjoying this as well. So I hope you guys enjoy the class today. Thank you again for joining us for the past couple days.
All right, you guys, I'm so excited. I feel like this class is almost like sort of like a wrapped up of what we've been preparing for you, because you know how to prep, you know how to use liquid and powder ratios, and how to build consistency on your bead every time. Now you use all that to incorporate how to build nail structure, right? The architect of a nail shape. So it is paramount to ensure a full understanding of the techniques required to have a strong and secure foundation, to make sure you brush up your techniques and skills for a long-lasting nail. So that's what we're going to focus on today. So there are some guidelines for you to build a nail that it is balanced, structurally sound, and aesthetically pleasing. So today I'm going to break down the guidelines for you, and please pay attention because this is a very important class. So we're going to talk about apex, the C-curve, the convex, the concave, and then the sidewalls, and then the cuticle area, and the hairline of the nail. So, and you can see hairline of the nail is basically the line of light. By checking the line of light, so you can see the your nail is, smooth or crooked or, unbalanced. So today we're going to go in depth. So I'm very excited because I think today we'll answer a lot of your questions. So yeah, so let's start with apex. I think this is a very key for a strong and balanced nail. So let's talk about that first, okay? Let me see. I have a little drawing. Let me start with just my drawing is not that good, so don't laugh at me. So apex is basically the anchor of the extension, right? Whether you do an overlay or nail extension, you need to have apex because that's the thickest and the highest point of the nail's enhancement, and it should be a symmetry of the apex. It should be a symmetry, so then the apex makes a big difference on the overall appearance. If you don't know what the apex, where it's gonna be, I'm gonna give you a little hint right here, a little tip. If you work on a client, let's just say I'm gonna show, because her nails pretty much should barely have anything left. But if you just lightly put a little pressure on a nail, and you see that faded area, kind of like the faded area will appear. If I just gently press on it at the tip, the free edge, you see it? Okay, hold on. Let me do that again. Okay, let me maybe my finger to. Okay, so if I just touch it lightly, you see it? You see that faded area right here? I need you to see it because if you see it, say yes so I know you guys see it. I just want to make sure the camera. You see, if I don't press on it, you see like more like a pink. Her nail's healthy underneath, but it has more like a pink tone look. But if I press on it, you see that kind of like a faded, kind of like a little white area there. That's the apex area. So when you build either overlay or extension, that's the area you need to focus on. So every nail is slightly different, because just depend on the nail bed and the nail plate. So just that will give you kind of like an idea where the apex should be. Do you guys see it? Do you guys understand what I meant? Okay. So if you press on the nail, you see that faded area, that's the apex, that's where you need to focus on. So each nail, if you're just starting out and you have a brand new client, make sure you just press it and just kind of make a mental note. That's the area you need to focus on. It's really a key here because a lot of people confuse where the apex should be. So that's just a little something that I learned along the way. The reason I share a lot of good tips with you guys because I made a lot of mistakes through the years that I've been doing this. So because I made so much mistakes, I know it took me longer to learn. So that's why I pass it on, the techniques on to you guys, because without guidance, you know, you move like a turtle slowly. But if you learn all these tips and tricks, your work will improve so much and your time of mastering your skill will be much faster. So that's the key, because at the beginning when I did this, I had no clue what's the apex. I'm like, what are people talking about? So apex, you know, it's like when it's properly built, the arch of your nail, which is the stress, some people call it stress area, some people call apex, some country even call crown. So it doesn't matter, I mean, just the area to have balance and the, you know, the arch. So that will allow you to have, to build, you know, a strong nail, right? So it create a more like a balance, right? So the apex of that nail will be different with a short nail and a long nails. Because people think, oh, well, apex is apex. It shouldn't, you know, well, it's slightly different. And I'm going to prove why. So you look like this. I have a drawing here. If you look like a short nail right here, okay, the apex, let me get my pencil. Your stress area usually right here, right? So that's your stress area. Because your nail so short, the apex need to be there, okay? Because your nail is so short. So the apex need to be here to have more like a balanced nail because your nail is short, and that's the strength coming from the C curve and the apex right there. That's the thickest point of the nail, which is right here, right? That's the center. But for long nails, the longer it is, the apex gonna move forward towards the cuticle area. The reason being is that it needs enough length and enough arch to support the whole entire length of the nail. If you were gonna put the apex, let's just say with a short nail, the apex is just gonna be right there. It's not gonna support the whole nail. You see it? It's not balanced. You need to have when it's longer, when the nail is longer, you need the apex to be, the arch need to be more, the apex to be a little bit higher and push further so you could build a longer arch to support, to counteract the length of the nail. Does that make sense? Okay? But okay, let's just say a short nail, that's just my apex. You see what's the difference here? The longer nail you build, you have to build slightly thicker and more apex. The arch you need, so your apex is right here right now. I mean, it's still the point of apex here, but it's slightly sloping down. It's gradually ascending from the cuticle to straight out or to either straight out like a square nail, is the apex gonna go straight out, but for stiletto and almond, it's supposed to go up, but gradually go down slightly to come to a point because each shape, the structure is different. So you have to understand fully what shape are you doing and where you put your apex, okay? Your apex need to be, it should be visible from every angle. Because if I look at this nail, down my barrel, I need to see my apex right there. If I look at the side, if you look on the side view, my apex still there, right? Because it's more like straight out. So the apex, it needs to be seen from every angle. In average, if a long nail, it should be around a third of the nail enhancement back in the back of the cuticle area, and just slowly sloping down or straight out. That's it. Either straight out or slowly sloping down. Because it doesn't matter what shapes that you, or what style of nail that you're creating, the two key is either square or stiletto, because the technique either goes straight out or sloping down. That's it. Okay? Any more questions? Because I know a lot of people, do you guys understand what I'm trying to do here? All right? Okay. So again, like I said, the square, it has to go up, straight out. And this line, you need to parallel with this line. The curve, everything need to be parallel for a square nail. Because you need the C curve of 50%. Well, that's competition. But in average, in a salon, the key here, I'll go into that later, but the key here is need to be minimum of 25% to 50%. But 50% is more competition. But salon, you don't need 50%. But if you could achieve that, you master the look, it's perfect, it's beautiful. Okay? So you understand now the apex is going to be different with short nail versus a long nail. Let's just stop right there. Any more questions when it comes to that? Right? So that's why we always advise our clients to come back between 3 to 4 weeks. Because if you don't, your apex is moving down. Let me draw it out. So let's just say your client come back. Okay. Okay, so let's just say your client come back and right here, and your nail, let's just say about a few weeks, right? So that's growth right there. Because the apex has moved down towards the free edge longer and longer, then the nail is no longer balanced because it's too heavy on the tip right here. Okay, and that's not enough support here. This is why you have to move this apex back to the lower third here. You have to move back here to have more balance. That's why we call rebalance. Because you don't, it's too heavy here, it's gonna break easily. Right? Yeah, I like this class. So now you know why the apex and the rebalance of the nail is so important, especially when your client's wearing a long nails. You know, even a short nail, think about it. If the short nail, okay, you know, if your balance right there, you see the apex move right in the here, and then it gets too heavy. And it's not, you don't have enough support back here. So when they hit it, it's gonna be break easily, or usually sometimes it lifts this part off because it's too heavy here. So that's why you have to advise your client. I would say 2 to 4 weeks the max. I have some clients go to 4 weeks. That's because then some people, their nail just doesn't, their nail just doesn't grow as fast, so they can stretch out a little bit longer. Then charge them a little bit more when they come back after 4 weeks versus 2 weeks. Okay, that's another tip I'm gonna give you. That's charging accordingly to your client. Hey, it's not fair for you because if they're going for 4 weeks, when they come back for rebalance, you have to do more work and you have to use more product to fill in the area, right? So this is why it's so important for acrylic or any nail enhancement, then you advise them to come back 2 to 3 weeks, but always have a set price if they stretch out 4 weeks longer. Okay? All right, is that good, guys? So that's apex, right? Let's move on C curve, because this is, I would say C curve and apex is really important. As long you understand the two is really critical to build a balanced nail. So why C curve is so important? Because if you notice any building architect building around the world, it's strong, it stays strong and sturdy because they built with a dome or like a curve, because architecturally it's just very structurally sound and aesthetically it's pleasing as well. So C curve, that's what it goes in. Because if you don't have a C curve, look at here. If your nail like this, okay, if your nail, you can hit it easily, right? But if you have a C curve, this is just exaggeration, but let's just say you have C curve, you see, it's harder to hit and break. So same thing with nails. You have to build that, you have to create that and sculpt that while you're applying the product. That's C curve is of course begin during sculpting stage. You do with your brush or with the form or by pinching as well. But I prefer you do it while you apply the form and sculpt it with the brush. That's the best way. Pinching, like I told you, sometimes it's good and sometimes can be bad, because you pinch too much, you either damage your nail plate, or sometimes you just kind of create a lifted, area if you don't know how to handle that. So we can go more into that later, but pinching is, like I said, is advisable, but be careful. Okay, so same thing, all right? Creating a strong symmetrical C curve will bring a durability to your nails, to your enhancement. Like I said, it's like building a bridge or an arch, right? Which pushes the support out to the side of nails. So that's why we need to, when we come to the square, it's very critical you have a nice round C curve. So from the front view of the nail, look like this, right? So the top of it is called the convex, right? The convex is like a surface curves outward. Surface curves outward, right? And concave is just concave. It's just surface that curves inwards. Surface curves inwards, right? But the thickness of the nail should be right in the center. So when you have a nice C curve, the outside of the C curve, the top, is called the convex, and the inner is called the concave. So what's that mean? You need to have the C curve that is thick in the center, but thin on the side. And in the middle, which is your apex, it needs to be thick as well. So this is where everything comes together. Does that make sense? And again, I told you that C curve, it needs to be minimum 25%, maximum 50%, like we said earlier. Right? The C curve. And because, of course, depends on the shape, the stiletto, the tip of the nail, you can't see the curve. But then when you dissect in the middle of the nail, you still have that concave and convex curve, because you need that to support the nail. Okay? So now, talk about that and the lateral side. Okay? When a nail is built, always, it doesn't matter what shape, doesn't matter what style, the lateral side needs to be straight out. That is like number one key. It doesn't matter. You place the form on up or down, yes. But after you build the nail, the lateral sides on both sides should be straight. Okay? Because that will support the structure of the nail. The C curve and that lateral side straight will give a nice structure and more balanced nail. Like I said again, doesn't matter what shape or what style of nails you are building, the lateral side is always straight. Okay? So a strong nail begins and ends with this lateral shape, because the nail is always straight from the cuticle straight out to the end. It needs to be that all the time, especially stiletto. Okay, and look at even square. You have straight out, but the top, the apex, and this one parallel. You see how it's straight out? So it's very key. And the one way we can achieve that is by, of course, sculpting. You need to bring the product out straight, and also the way you shape the nails. When you sit and shape the nails, sit straight. Because you sit crooked, your hand will shape more. Sometimes if you dominate on the right hand, you tend to, oval file on that side more. So pay attention to your filing as well. Okay? Yeah. So it's really key to achieve that, to maintain that sidewall is by filing, of course by sculpting, but also by how you file the nails. And I'm gonna go through that a little bit, all right? So before we move on, any questions? Any questions, okay? All right, so now the cuticle area, okay? So when you're applying product, the cuticle area, the key here is really, you don't have to apply the product straight, like on the cuticle area. You can kind of have a little room, like a hair or two away, because by the time you blend it, it will be nice and seamless. So I would not advise you to, especially for beginners, just move about 2 hair away from that cuticle, so then you don't have a lot of product around that cuticle area, so then you don't have to do a lot of shaping. And for the cuticle area, it's really about angling your brush when you apply the product. Angling your brush, so then you can create a natural arch slowly out. It's just by the way you put it in and how you press. I'm gonna show you that too. But it's really, the key here is you wanna leave a hair or two away. I like to have very close, but because you are experienced nail tech, you know where not to go too tight. But if you're just a beginner, leave maybe 2 hair away from the cuticle when you apply product. That way you have little room to shape, and then slowly, as you get better, you know where you're supposed to stop, then you can push your product a little bit closer. But for beginners, stay away about 2 hair away from the cuticle area to create that nice arch towards the apex. You see how that is? And of course, it's about shaping as well. If you can achieve that with the application, there's also a way you can achieve that by filing. Okay, so then the hairline, again, is about the hairline is just about a line of light. When you apply the product, you can use the line of light to show you if your product is perfect or it has wobbles. Okay, the line of light will show you the surface is even or smooth. So that's another way for you to check while you shaping. Like when you're almost done with shaping, use the line of light, the hairline, to see. Use the light in your salon to see if that line is wobble or the surface is smooth or not. So yeah, any more questions? So that is how you make sure you have every angle, every C-curve, the curvature that is there. The line is supposed to be straight. Overall, that's the guidelines of how to build a structurally sound and balanced nails. Yeah. So any more questions before I move on? You guys seem quiet today. So that's good, because I think you guys just really focus on what I'm trying to show you, right? Okay, so now I'm going to demonstrate what overall what I've been sharing with you. So let me demonstrate one nail. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a form, because I think it's easier to explain that way. Give me a second here. I'm going to take a form. I'm gonna build it, and then we're gonna incorporate everything that we just talked about into building a nail, so then you can get some idea how you can achieve this. Okay. Is this fun, guys? Okay, so
They said they're busy taking notes. Gina said it's difficult because I'm so focused on the class, that's why I'm quiet.
I know, it's okay. I know you guys are learning. I know you guys are trying, so that's good. That's why I'm here for you guys. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed this class. Hold on, let me get my stuff. Let me get this right. Because sometimes, you know, in theory, everything looks good, but when you actually doing it, it's slightly harder, especially when you didn't get the concept of how, you know, to put all these components together. So this is why I decided to do this, because that way you get able to see, okay, I understand that, but how do I apply it on the nail? So it's slightly different, right? So yeah, like I said, it took me a while to build a nice structurally sound nail, so I totally get it. So let me apply the nail. Let me check everything. This nail is slightly long, okay, so I can show you. Let me check. Check. Yeah. Okay. So let me just put one color, something, a little bit of tint of color so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, just pretend, I prepped her nail slightly already, so I'm just gonna make sure, I'm just gonna go through the, okay, let's pretend, I'm gonna pretend building a slightly overlay. I'm gonna extend out a little bit and then I can add that in later, but just gonna show you from a short nail to a long nail, it's slightly different, okay? Okay, so let me see, I'm gonna build just slightly, like almost like extend it out a little bit, but not too much, just so you can see the difference with short nail and long nail, where it's supposed to be. Did you guys have any questions? Don't be shy and shout out, okay guys? That's how you learn.
Everyone is saying they're very focused, they don't want to miss anything. All right, so we have a couple questions out here. Said from Ashley. She said, will you be showing us how to properly apply a nail form?
I did that with the first class of stiletto, but yeah, I will work on that.
And then Gina said, I know you told us that there's no exact point for apex and every nail has different apex points, but still, can I say that usually apex is for say that usually apex for a long nail is about 1/3 away from the cuticle area.
Yeah, that's pretty much the general. But it's all, the apex is like, again, I said it earlier, it all depends on the length of the nail. But the longer it is, then the apex gonna move towards the cuticle area more. Okay. So I'm just slowly building the nail, and as I'm pushing the product, like when I'm blending, you notice I always blend the product towards the center of the nail, because that's where I'm building the apex of the nail. Okay, so let me use this picture again. Let me show them this. So let me go back to this preference so then you can see. So when you're building a nail, let's just say this is a long nail, right? So let me just say for a short nail like this, the apex should be in the middle of the nail. That's the thickness of the nail right here. Okay, usually the apex is more like, it's not just like a one point. The apex is just like the highest point of the nail, but the arch, it needs to be thin and long like this. So the center of the nail should be thickest. That's the thickest part of the nail, right? But from this point, it gradually faded out thin. And same thing with the tip. So then the nail is more balanced and the side slightly thinned out too. So then your nail is slowly thinning out. So the thickest part is just mainly here. So when you patting your acrylic or your gel, push more in the center of that. Okay, and as the nail is longer, this point is stretched out slightly more in the center of the nail. Okay, so then you have more like a balanced nail. That's just the stress area and the arch of it. You have to build slightly more. So the center of the nail is always the thickest part. So let me pinch this a little bit. It's very, I don't pinch that hard, but you can see, so if you look at the view of the nail, it's not that thick. Okay? So when you build a nail, you want it slightly thicker than the credit card, but by the time you shape a little bit, it should be like credit card thin around the free edge and a little bit on the side. But in the middle right here, that's why you see the nail slightly raised up a little bit. But I'm not done yet, but just to show you the thickness more in the center right here. Okay, so now let me finish the cuticle area. I want you to look at the cuticle area. Okay. All right, so with the cuticle area, I'm gonna work not too wet, but not too dry, because you're gonna get dry easily. You're gonna crack easily if you work too dry around the cuticle area. Okay, I'm gonna place it down, and I'm slowly releasing it like that. And tilt your brush down, your nail down. Pat it. Pat it. You see how the gravity just let the product go down, and just by patting your powder, you already creating an apex naturally there. And then just take the brush, clean the side if you have to, and just try to pat it more towards the center. See that? And if I go in, if I see I need anything else, I just go in slightly more product on the side. So that's how you apply everything that I just told you to the application. And you see, just by doing that, my apex mainly in the center of the nail. That's it. And if you go back the side view, if you don't feel like you have enough, you can always take a little bit of powder, and let's just say you want to place right in the center, and do that. Don't take a big bead. Just take a little bit and build that center. So then you gradually building it up. You don't have to take a big ball, and that way you're out of control and your shape is you have too much product. So with this, if you learn to apply like this, you barely do any shaping and you don't waste a lot of product. Okay? Okay, you know what I was gonna do? Let me do one more so you can see the long nails, okay? With the long nail, the apex gonna be, the placement of the apex gonna be slightly different. And when I'm done with the nail, I'm gonna show you the C curve so you know exactly what to do. All right, let me cut this form. I have done her nails, so I know the shape of her nails. When you have a new client, it's slightly slower because you're trying to learn her nail shape.
We have a couple people asking, why is it important to pinch the nail?
Because you're creating that C curve. You don't have that C curve, you're not going to have that curvature to support the whole entire nail. When you don't have that C curve, your nail would break easily, which we talk about that, remember? So C curve is very important. It's not perfect, but it's okay. Okay, I have a little gap, but it's okay. And if you don't want too much pinching, make sure you pinch your form right here. This is where the strength, the C curve is happening, is when you pinch that, okay? So you see every time you pinch that, the form curve up more. So that's how you get your C curve, okay? It's not perfectly, but let me just, okay. All right, so let's just say we want to build a little bit long nail. So I'm going to show you how to do that. When you first put on a bead, you just want to make sure you build that lateral side to the length that you want. Okay, make sure you have the lateral side and blend it down to the length that you want as much as possible. And make sure you press the powder towards the center. This is how you keep everything on the side thin and the center thick. So then you don't have to do a lot of correction of the size wall later. Use your brush to slowly blend that in. Take the belly and press that in. You see how I do it? The belly, tap that in. So that way the product slowly blend towards the center. And just, you have, like we talk about the ratio, you have about 2 minutes to work on your product. If you have enough liquid and powder on your bead, you have approximately about 2 minutes. It's slightly quicker if you work in a warm temperature. So let's just say I have that, right? Is that good? See? Everything nice. And now I'm taking another bead. Right there, my stress area right there. And slowly releasing it. And just blend it down. Work slowly on a warmer temperature. Don't rush to get a big bead. Even I don't do that. So warmer weather, I work small bead because it's easier for me to control. And I blend that smoothly so then I don't have to worry about shaping too much later. You see? It looks nice. Don't worry about this shape. It's not, just make sure you have everything, especially the lateral side and everything lined up. So now, for this, let's just say if I'm not good, like right now, today it's a little warm, I'm not gonna take another, I'm gonna work on another small bead and work it right there. Because if I try to put a big bead, it dries too quick. So I can't blend it down. So work small, but slowly, you're building the apex right here.
Should I use a wetter bead for the cuticle area?
Slightly, yes. It's always slightly easier to work wetter side because you can always tap it out when it's too wet versus too dry. So keep that in mind. You see how I blend that cuticle area quickly and easily because everything is pretty much in place. All I have to do is blend that out. Always keep your brush clean so your monomer is clean. Even with color, I always clean my brush so then my monomer is not discolored. Especially when you work with color like this, if you don't clean your brush well before you dab it in, you're gonna get a lot of color back here. So you want a smooth surface and your nail to last long. Always pay attention to the way you take care of the brush as well. So you see everything? Now you just go back, double check on everything. Make sure everything you have, the apex, the sidewall, everything that you need, make sure you have everything before you clean your brush. Put everything away. I'm not going to pinch this one. I'm going to show you, even without pinching, you could still have a nice C-curve. Okay? But that looks pretty good. Let me check my apex again. Okay, for long nail, I'm just going to go back slightly. I'm going to exaggerate my apex a little bit just so I can make the point. I'm just going to see that area, the apex that I need. I'm just going to put a little ball there and then clean my brush and go back and blend that out. Use the body of the brush if you need to blend the powder out. If not, use the tip of the brush. The tip, it's just easy to make everything smooth. The belly, to press it down and blend everything in. So remember that. Okay, so now it looks pretty good. Slightly, a little more right here. Okay.
Yeah. Kenya asked, do you only do C-curve with form, and can you do it when you apply tips?
Yes, there's a lot of good tips out there, and there's also a lot of bad tips out there. That's another class by itself because I have to show you the type of tips that you can use. But the main key is don't ever buy the tip that is curved. You want to find the tip that is straight, lateral, at the lateral side straight, so then you can use that for different shapes. But if you buy the curved one, those are the more like the old tips, really curved down. Don't buy those. Don't buy those. If you guys want, I can do another video on YouTube and show you more detail, different good tips and bad tips, and how use certain tips for different shape of the nail. So then it looks like sculpting, like we did with stiletto. Remember that I show you how to sculpt, and I show you how to use the good tips. And by the time you shape them, you can barely see the difference unless you check out the C-curve, because sculpting always create better C-curve than tips. But there's a lot of good tips where it's almost has the C-curve as close to sculpting form. So again, it's a matter of using the right form, the right tips for that. And it's another class by itself. But I'm just gonna show you the difference with long nail and short nail, so then you can see in overall, if you apply to what I share with you today, it's really, you can achieve the nice look. Let me see if it, not quite yet, but let me do this. Okay, so for this, let me take my file out and blend it out for you guys. Okay, first of all, let me show you the side. You see here, another indication on the back here. You see this side? I didn't shape it yet, but the length, the sidewalls is nice and thin. It's not thick. If you build this too thick, you can do a lot of filing, okay? So, it's not yet. Okay, so let me do first. I always take care of the side wall here. Make sure you take the side wall from here all the way out straight. So by one way of doing that, it keep your file straight, and then tilt it on the bottom of the nail and just work slightly to smooth that out. This way you can smooth it out, but leave it straight. You straighten out that sidewall. And then I'm just gonna okay. I'm gonna show you. Look at the. I'm not done yet, but I just want to show you how you can give it a nice. It should be like about credit card thickness, okay? I mean, I'm not done yet, but just want to show you that's the thickness that you need. So you don't need to apply a lot of product. That was my mistake to the beginning when I first do nails. I applied too thick, thinking I can correct my shape later. But no, you need to know where you put the thickness, and then so you don't build too thick, so then you don't waste a lot of time filing. Same thing with this nail. I'm not done yet, but just to show you the thickness of the nail. And look at the C curve. Even though, because I can't, it's stiletto come to a point, but look how the C curve here. This is where the C curve right here throughout the nail will support the length of the nail. See that? And you see that reflection of light is straight. So that's one way of helping you to know that you put in the straight to the reflection, the line of light. You see that? Yeah? Okay. It's not done, but I just want to let you, so that's what I meant when it comes to the thickness of the nail. You don't have to put an extra effort into building learn to sculpt with the shape of the nail with your brush and with the product, so you don't waste a lot of time shaping. Okay? See, I barely shape anything in the nail. Pretty much, it's where it should be. Well, it comes, like I said, I have a lot of practice, and I learned a lot through the years, so I was able to learn my mistake and create, a better shape. But I've done it so many years that I hate it. This is why I want to help you guys, especially now that you come back with a lot of new clients. Eventually, you can go back to work. This is when you know better, you can earn more too. So take a lot of time while you're home, practice these skills and technique, so then you can work more efficient and build a better nails. I just have to make sure I blend out everything. What is your most mistake when you apply the product? Maybe I start with that. What is your mistake when you apply a product? Is it too thick or is it too thin, or you don't know where to place it? Because I find, and then go from there. Why is it I file so much? In average, a set of nail, you only take about, I would say, 15 minutes to shape. You don't need more than that, because if you take more than that to shape the set, that means you're applying too much product.
We have another question from earlier. Says if tips are slightly C-curve, would you create that perfect C-curve after?
You can pinch your tip a little bit, but with tip, it's hard to pinch because when you pinch in too hard, the tip will pop. So it's a lot easier to pinch with a form than with a tip, but you can. I'm just saying that you have to be careful, because a lot of time when you're not careful, then you can pop that tip off without realizing it. Because sometimes when you already have the product on and you pop that tip, you don't see it, and your client go away for like a few days to a week, it's gonna become weakened. So any questions about the application at all?
Couple people said they do their nails too thick, bumpy, and lumpy. So when I apply, I am dominant on one side. Another person said I apply too much product and I use more than 3 balls. My biggest mistake is not knowing how much to pinch the form prior to application of the product. So these are just a couple people they commenting. Sue said too thin near the free edge of extension and thick near the cuticle.
Okay, so let me go with the first, the one that I know people ask is how to pinch my form so I know I have enough C-curve, right? So when you apply the form on, okay, look, the C-curve, let me show you. I think I mentioned this when we did stiletto, but maybe some of you weren't there, so you missed it. Okay, let's just say it's not perfect, okay? But let's just say the form. If you look down, okay, you look down, right? The form, the width of the form should not be wider than the nail plate, the width of the nail plate. If you leave the form without pinching the underneath, your form will be flat out. Okay, look at this form for a second. Okay, look at this form for a second. Now let me say I pinch it. See, if I pinch it, you see how now it's more slender? It does make a difference how you put the form on. Okay, that's just one area. But you see the difference if I don't pinch my bottom of the form? See, the more I pinch the bottom and secure that, first, you secure the form, and second, it gives you a nice C-curve as well. So that's how, and the form should be about 10% smaller than the nail plate right here. So the nail form should be about 10% in. Okay, 10% in, that means smaller than the nail plate. So if the form look wider than the nail plate, that means when you apply the product, your nail can be wider because you're expanding the product, right? You're adding weight, you're adding thickness to the nail. If you don't pinch your form, then that's what happened. But if you pinch it, by the time you have product on, then it's just nice. And then if you lightly pinch it even more, then it gives you even better C-curve. Does that make sense? So like, remember this stiletto? When I did this, I didn't really pinch. You saw that, I didn't really pinch. But I still have a nice C-curve to it because the way I put the form on, I pinched that bottom already. So it doesn't matter if I pinch more or not. I mean, if I pinch more, it gives me even slightly more C-curve. But even without pinching it, I still have that. I would say right now I have at least 30 to 40% of C-curve right there, at least, and without pinching it. And the side that you can't see because it's stiletto. With the square, you see a lot more because down the barrel, you see a lot more. So, but the only one way you can see it is the back with stiletto. And the key is right here. That's your stress area. That's your weakest point right here, right? You don't have that C-curve. Once she hits something, that's it. That nail is gone. Even with this, even it's short, you need to have that C-curve. Okay? It's very important. And the apex, it needs to be there. Okay? Yeah. Does that help you guys at all? Can you guys visualize the nails a little bit when you guys do the shaping? Okay, so the form. Once you know how to do the nail, my God, you're gonna fall in love with sculpting because it's almost like it's a challenge for you when you work on a new client, or because nails, they're never even. Two hands are pretty much, each finger has its own shape sometimes. So by doing the form, you customize, and make it look more cohesive. Everything, the shape, everything gonna be cohesive and consistently look every finger. Because as a nail tech, you give that illusion that their nails are perfect. That's your job, to give that look that their nails are perfect, even though they aren't. That's why they pay you, to have nail enhancement. So by following these guidelines will give you a more consistent look and a perfect look every time, really.
We have another question from Katina. She asked, how can I prevent the acrylic form from going outside my shape on the side when building the nail? That is a problem for me.
Say that again.
How can I prevent the acrylic from going outside my shape on the side when building the nail?
Oh, same thing. That's what we said earlier. If you place your form wider than the nail plate, so your acrylic go out more. So that's why your nail look wider and thicker. And then later when you shape it, you try to compromise that look. So then you thin out your stress area. That's why your nail break easily, because first of all, you build it too wide and too thick. And then when you're shaping, you think, oh my God, that looks too wide, too big, too thick. And then you try to fire it down to make it look slender. But the truth is, you already made the mistake the first time when you put the form on. You didn't curve it right. You didn't pinch it well enough. So then you don't have much room to put extra product. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So you see the apex on the thicker nail, the longer nail is slightly different than the shorter nail. So I want you to see this. The short nail and the long nail, the apex slightly different, okay? You see the apex more right here, but slowly sloping down. So by the apex go a little bit further back, so you have room to have that slope, the arch, to build that arch down. This one is more like in the center of the nail because it doesn't have length. So the apex and the arch should be more like in the middle. Yeah? Okay. All right, guys, so we are done with the class. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to write down or type in any questions you have on anything that we have covered. Prepping, liquid and powder, and now what's today. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes, and Tiffany going to help me read out the questions, and we're going to go through it all. Okay, guys?
All right, Sue had asked, can you show us how to fix a crooked nail bed to create a straight extension?
Okay, that's a good one. I feel like that's going to be a class by itself because it's really challenging when your client nails, their natural nail bed crooked. Okay, I have crooked fingers, so I know when I put the form on, I have to place my form opposite direction that the nail wants to grow. And the key here is to look at the knuckle of the nail and follow that nail from the knuckle, from that finger go down. Don't follow the nail here. I think this finger, she's slightly crooked too. So when you put on a nail, you put the center point of the nail line up with the center of the knuckle. And the tip as well. Tip or form, the same thing. That's that length, that end of the free edge right there. Let's just say you want, okay, I'm gonna pinch this. Let's just say, okay, when you line this tip, make sure this tip right here line up with the knuckle. And that's how you get the straight line every time. But if you follow this length, let's just say the nail crooked on this side, and you follow this side, then later your nail gonna be crooked on that side. So, but if you follow the knuckle, then you should know that your form with the straight line right here, follow that straight line, then you automatically will fix your form straight to this side. So then because the knuckle, center of the knuckle, is supposed to line up like that. Okay? Any more?
Gina asked what grit of file would be perfect to file acrylic/dipping nails.
Okay. Acrylic nails slightly stronger. So for surface work, I recommend at least medium. But for dipping, it's fine, it's good. Because dipping is very soft. The powder is not as thick, and the powder is softer. So then, and a lot of time, with dipping is like almost like a softer surface, so you don't need a lot of shaping. So I would say fine is good. Or you can use medium grit. That's good too. Because sometimes when a medium bit, I use it for about 4 to 6 months, then it's almost become like a fine grit. So then you can use that too. But to take off acrylic, you need at least coarse. I would say at least coarse. Or if you're really good with E-fine, then use extra coarse, but at least coarse to shave down the acrylic.
Gulinar, I always have a hard time with nails that are wide. I find it really hard to make it nice and narrow. Do you have any advice on that?
Okay. Wide nails, I love sculpting because I'm able to pinch that nail slightly. I would pinch that nail slightly more, like, while I'm doing the form. And second, better to advise your client to wear more like a taper shape, like either ballerina or almond. So then that way you can cheat and give that slender and thin look. But then you build enough apex and all that to give structurally sound. But then at the same time, you give it aesthetically pleasing to the eyes. You kind of cheat it and taper that in a little bit. That gives illusion that the nail is much thinner and slender.
Can we see the cuticle application again, please? And can you explain again the process of looking at the nail from all angles?
Okay, we did that earlier. Okay, but let me show you. Okay, all right. So the cuticle area, if you look at the cuticle area right here, you see I barely shaping anything. That's because the application that I did, I barely touched it, but I curved her nail down to 45-degree angle, so then my liquid and powder doesn't go up. Because if you apply, especially when you apply the cuticle area, the gravity will pull the liquid and powder down. So then all you do is slightly blend down. That's why I always take my application slow, because I want to show you when you do step by step. Let's just say I put one bead here, I make it nice and even already. So once I'm done with that, I don't have to worry about that. Then the next bead, I make sure I build slowly the apex right there and blend everything in. So then nice and even already. By the time I get to the cuticle area, I only need to worry about the cuticle area. I don't want to worry about the shape of the nail and everything no more. My job is to place that down, tilt the nail down, and then slowly blend that in. So let me show you. Okay. Let me do that again. So work around the cuticle area, work small. Okay. For this short nail, right? For this short nail, let me just say this short nail. If you just beginner, build that build that nail first. Don't worry about one bead or two bead when you're practicing. Don't worry about the bead, how many bead. I'd rather you work 2 bead, but then the shape is perfect, so you don't waste a lot of time shaping. If you worry about, oh, let me get it 1 bead, but then later you didn't have it perfect, then you're gonna do a lot of shaping, so that's not saving your time at all. So I'd rather take care, let's just say like that. you see how smooth I have it right here already? Because the transition is nice and smooth. So when you blend in the second bead right there, it will be nice and smooth as well. So it's really the key here is how you blend each bead. Don't worry about getting perfect with one bead. Make sure you get it perfect with each bead. That's what you need to worry of. You see, when you have the right ratio, you have a lot of time to blend that tip. See, with this bead, I'm able to extend that natural tip a little bit and give her a little length without using tip or form. And that's the magic of doing acrylic too, is that you can extend out the nail a little bit. When you work with the right ratio, it's not runny, you're able to extend that a little bit. Because sometimes I have a client where they just want overlay, but like one nail is slightly shorter than the other. By working that bead, perfect consistency, I'm able to extend that out without using a tip or form. That's another tutorial by itself, but just to show you, the perfect consistency really help. Okay, so this is the magic, right? You're gonna have a lot of questions with acrylic at the cuticle area. So you see, at the cuticle area, you have only a little bit, right? From this area to that. So I'm gonna take a small bead, very small. And getting a small bead, it just matter of picking, I even draw out half, and I just pick up very small. You see it? And let's just say I want it more. If I slanted the brush, I pick up more. You see the ball is slightly more. But if I tilt it up, it's be smaller. So now, I'm just gonna leave it there, almost touching it, but not quite, and slowly releasing it. By releasing like that, you're not getting a lot of monomer on top of the product. And then just slowly pressing it down. It dried too quick today because it's a little bit warmer, but that's okay. But you see, I didn't work on the cuticle area that much because by the way I'm releasing it at the tip right there, I replace it there and I'm tilting the finger back 45-degree angle. All I have to worry is the product, blending it down. That's it. And let the cuticle, just let it be. You don't have to touch it. Just touch the side and the right here. Remember, you're already placing the product. So from there, you blend that bead down. That's it. So it's nice. Look at the side. Without shaping it, it's almost to the point you want it. And later, you refine that a little bit and you're done. So just practice a little bead. Okay, I'm going to show you one more time. Okay? Cuticle area. Place it and slightly press it down, but not all the way down like this. See, by pressing all the way down, you have it too spread out. So let me just like gently pressing down, but not like fan it all out. You don't want to fan it all out because you remember you want the side to be thin. So small bead, pressing it down slightly, and look, without doing anything, I'm just blending the side down. You see, your cuticle nice and round. You just worry about blending the side and the center of it, that's it. That's why I said work in small bead, you only worry about the cuticle area, you don't have to worry about the nail. Do that enough, you don't have to worry about shaping the cuticle area at all. Trust me. Save a lot of time. Okay, if a clients have high hyponychium, how do you place an adjusted nail form? Just like I did, my daughter and I, we do have high hyponychium because the longer nail we wear, it tends to grow out slightly more through the years because it needs enough kind of your nail kind of grow longer because it's one way of supporting your length of the nail. So with that, I have to cut the form more because if I don't cut the form, This is, her nail is actually perfect example. This one, even though nail is short, but you see the skin is pretty, skin is, the hypenicum, I don't know, you can see that. I'm trying to taunt her skin, but it's there. So what I do, you see, if I place the form, it doesn't fit, right? It doesn't fit into the nail, right? So what you have to do is looking at this nail and determine how much to cut. Okay, so let's just say I place it, I didn't really adhere that well yet, but you can see by placing it, I have gaps, right? So from here to here, I have to see how much gap I have, and that's the length of the form you need to cut. So look at the free edge right here and to that here. So you have about 3 to 4 millimeter. So that means the form, you have to cut that much. So then I have to cut the form about that much. So this form has about that length. I'm just gonna cut it. Okay, now I'll put back. If you look, I put back. See now it fits better? Perfectly. Okay, all right. You see that? So that's how you fit perfectly. All right, guys. I feel like we learned a lot today. I don't want to give you guys too much and you get so overwhelmed with information. But just take the time to practice on your, the tips and techniques that I share with you in the past couple of weeks. With the 6th class that I've been providing, I hope you take it where I hope you enjoyed the tip that I gave you guys and really take the time to master it, because without practicing, I can sit here all day, all night and give you all bad or good techniques, and if you don't practice, you're not gonna learn it until you do it and practice with it. Practice on yourself. I find that by doing, on the nails on myself, I learn a lot. And also take your daughter, your sister, your mom, say, hey, I'm not good yet, but let me play with your nails, and then apply it then, you know what I mean? So then you slowly see your mistake and correct them, and go through the guideline that I gave you earlier, the apex, the C-curve, the lateral side. Look through all that and fix that. If you feel like, okay, your tip is not, remember, it doesn't matter what shape and nails or style, the lateral side should be straight. So if you don't see that straight line, you know something is wrong. And you don't see that apex or the arch on top of the nail, you know something is wrong. So that's the indication that you didn't practice well or you didn't get it. Just practice. Blend the brush, scope that in. Blend that on the side. Use your nail use your brush at 45-degree angle, and use that belly, to pat that in. It's just a matter of practicing. Okay, guys? I hope you enjoyed that. Please give me updates on your work and let me know and share your work with us so then we can see your progress. I'm really happy when you guys share that, because I know this is the goal that the channel trying to provide you is good techniques and help you to become a better nail tech, a professional artist. So, okay, guys, thank you again for your time. If you guys have any more comments or any questions, you can tag me on your work or just message me on my Instagram or Facebook. Okay, guys? Thank you so much. Have a good one. Stay home. Stay safe. Okay, bye. Okay, guys? Thank you for watching. Subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram as well. All right, guys? Tiffany, any last word?
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us for the past 3 days. Again, whether you guys were joining us today for the first time or you guys have been joining us since day one, we love doing these videos for you guys. We thank you for your support and just continuously coming back and choosing us to learn and spending your time with us here. As we said, the Nail Tip Show, our goal is just to help provide content and just tips and tricks for the nail professional and nail artist. If you guys would like to continue supporting us, we do have a link through PayPal so you guys can help support us by providing donations. And we also have a account through Cash App. So if you can't do PayPal, please consider sending us donations through Cash App. However, we understand that these are hard times and we absolutely do not want to push any of you guys, but if you guys are willing and able just to provide some donations for us, your donations go directly to helping with the production and the team behind the cameras that help provide you with the best knowledge. And I understand that it's, again, just really difficult during this time. So if you guys can't, however, provide financially, we would love you guys can support us by just taking a screenshot or just your work and tagging us at the Nail Tip Show and or by tagging Anne, and we can help you however we can just by providing some advice and just other tips and tricks if we haven't gotten to your question today. Again, we thank you in advance for your contributions and your donations and just taking the time to just learn with us today. We really appreciate it. Thank you again for joining us for the past couple days. We hope you guys have spent the time to really practice and learn something new with us. We hope that we see you again on the channel. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and to follow us on our Facebook and Instagram at The Nail Tip Show. And we hope to provide you guys with more tips and tricks in the future. We hope to see you in the next video. Bye, guys.